You know, we talked about it a little bit in the press conference, but a proven winner. Obviously, someone that had postseason success was a plus, but all the other intangible characteristics is what you're looking for. Because first and foremost, we're going to do things the right way at the University of Georgia. So someone is going to mentor and mold young men and help them grow. That's our mission. Of course, we want to win championships. We want kids to graduate and do well in school, but we want them, as they matriculate through the University of Georgia, to feel good about their time here, that we made them better, right? So when we're talking about 20 and 30 and 40-year reunions, I want all those guys coming back saying, I made the right choice to go to Georgia because Georgia made me better. So looking for a coach who could do that and build that. And of course, winning is a part of that, I think. But if you do all those things the right way, winning is a byproduct of that. So those are just some of the characteristics.
Josh, what was the process that led you to the Sunday? Was it a Zoom with Coach White? And how did you get there from Thursday night? Who was on the Zoom? I didn't know there was a formal search committee.
You know, I don't want to go through all the logistics of the search, but I'll tell you that we wanted to be thorough in our search, interview some candidates, and then we got to a point we were comfortable, but I wanted to take a swing at Coach White. He's someone like President Morehead said, that we watched from afar for a long time. So reached out to gauge to see if there was any interest. And once we interviewed him, it was very clear to us within a short amount of time that he was the right individual for us.
How long did you talk to him for?
A couple of hours. Yep.
There wasn't a search committee.
Okay.
Josh, when did y'all get an idea that he would be interested in the job?
Not until really we reached out on Sunday to confirm. I mean, you hope and think and you evaluate things, and of course there's lots of rumors of who may be interested, and you let those kind of run wild. But that was someone that again had an eye on and said, let's gauge and see if he's someone that's got interest. But look, I firmly believe in my heart that most individuals are interested in the University of Georgia. It's a place that I've loved for a long time, and I know that when you get candidates, when you can show them and present the University of Georgia to them, I think it's an easy sell. So I have confidence that we get there.
Obviously, this whole process happened pretty fast from beginning to end. Was that important to you? Was it speed, and if so, why?
You always want to be, what's the old saying, be quick but don't rush. As we talk about, getting through this and getting a coach for our student athletes, right? So it was important for me to move quickly so that they could know who their coach is, and as we try to evaluate our roster and let our young men, I have a responsibility to them to get them a coach as soon as possible. But it was not done with any timeline or any deadline. It has to be done by that point. But I like to move pretty efficiently. And the benefit of working at Georgia is I've got a president who's heavily invested in athletics. We are very close, so we can work very close together, move quickly, and we're on the same page. So I think that makes the process university allows us to move pretty swiftly.
Josh, I think this is the third smallest arena and the second oldest. When you stood up there, you said the commitment starts with you.
Yep.
Will there be a facilities commitment to put Georgia basketball facilities above average in the SEC?
You're always evaluating. You want to get better in everything we do, right, Mike? So we've invested some money into Stegman the last 10 or 15 years, whether it was the concourse renovation a number of years ago, and then most recently the graphics, the scoreboard, the new seating. But we're never stagnant. We always want to keep finding ways to get better. One of the things that y'all might not know, we renovated the game day locker room before this last fall. That was another piece. So we're going to keep looking at that, and that's part of being in a partnership with a coach. And that goes for Joni Taylor as well. We talk with our coaches and say, what can we do to impact, first and foremost, recruiting? Then it's our student athletes experience as well. And a lot of those times, those things intersect as well. But I think from a fan perspective, I think Stegman is great. I think we've got a great operation that is great for them. But you always want to keep updating graphics, things like that, and finding new ways to do that. So that's going to be a journey we're going to be on with both Coach White and Coach Taylor as we keep moving forward, because we're never going to be stagnant. We want to keep getting better at everything we do.
Ultimately, why is Mike your guy? Did you not want to risk a mid-major coach or an unproven assistant? Is he a known commodity that you felt best, obviously, with?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to comment on anyone else. This was not about anyone else. This is about Mike White, and you can we could talk about 100 other candidates that were hypothetical, but when you got your guy and you know who you want, it's pretty clear, right? And I'm a firm believer in evaluating talent. That's one of the things I've always felt great about and why I wanted to be an AD from the days when I was a student to today. And you know you got a great one when you see it, and it doesn't take long to figure it out. So once we went through the interview process with him, that was the goal, that was the focus.
Josh, what was the big impression you got from talking to Michael on Zoom as you guys did something?
You know, calm, poised, confident, experienced. I can tell you anybody, think about anybody in any of your jobs, right? If you could do something in that league or reference for 7 years and then have another opportunity, transferring that knowledge and that experience, coming in here, that's gonna be experience that's played in these arenas, that knows how to operate in the SEC, that's well respected throughout this conference. An institution like Florida that, whether we want to admit it or not, they're rivals, it's a peer institution that has a lot of similarities, right? So there's a lot of common experiences that he can hit the ground running from day one. And then above all else, when we talk about the character of the individual and the class that he has and the way he operates, I want a coach that I can sleep at night and knows doing the right thing. So with all those other things, and then on top of that, I've got someone that everyone you speak to, from people he's worked with, whether it was Louisiana Tech, Florida, people in the Southeastern Conference, anybody who's ever played for him, all, again, said the same things. And at the end of the day, as an AD, that's one of the big things that you want to make sure you've got someone that you can trust and is going to represent the university of the class.
What do you define as success for the Georgia basketball program?
You know, I think that's hard to define, right? What does success look like? It's going to be a moving target, right? So where we are right now, we want to build, and I don't ever believe in putting numbers on that because that's not fair to him. I mean, injuries and things or how he builds his roster, but it's the first step is continual growth. We always want to grow and get better, and then hopefully over time the goals will grow as well. So maybe early on we want to be competitive, and then we want to be in the mix. We talked about the tournament, then we want to start making the tournament, making progress, but those goals could grow as we grow. So you don't want to ever put a cap on it, but honest, there is no ceiling here. But at the same time, we've got to be realistic of where we've been the last 20 years and where the first steps are to build and grow upon that.
Jere, what did you learn about Josh during this process?
You know, I'd have to say that I didn't learn a whole lot because I've had great confidence in Josh from the beginning. He just reconfirmed everything that I've thought about him as an athletic director from the first day he started. He's thorough. He looks at every aspect. He was meticulous in this process. I've never seen a person that had more data and more information about candidates. And I guess what really impressed me was how he was able to evaluate people and give insight as to what he learned after an interview and the observations that he would make. But he's already acting like an athletic director that's also got 11 years experience, even though he's in his second year. So I was just, once again, very impressed with how he's running the Georgia athletic program.
Josh, having made swung big with the first two hires in terms of track and soccer, did those experiences help you in any way with this one, or have now that you're 3 hires in,
Four.
Have you grown as an AD, you think, through that?
Yeah, you better be growing. You better be growing and learning. I think each search is so different depending on where that sport and that program are at in their growth of their program, depending on the national landscape. And there's just sometimes there's certain candidates that just by the grace of God are available and want to have a connection to get back to the South or one of these regions. But with all that said, I can't underestimate, and this is a compliment to President Morehead and Commissioner Sankey, the power of the SEC is extremely powerful. When you talk about all these different sports, you'd be amazed at the candidates that show interest because they know how powerful this conference is. But you have to look at each search differently. There's never one method to say I always have to have because we hired from internally with Tony Baldwin, who was an assistant coach. It's never a steadfast rule that it must be this or must be that. But you have core principles that you have to stick to. But I think as you go through the process, you have to learn a little bit more patience because it's like anything else, right? House shopping or car shopping, you can't fall in love with the first house you see. You've got to be methodical and look at them all because at the end of the day, when the candidates we're talking about, they're all going to be great. Anyone that meets the level to interview at the University of Georgia, they're going to be pretty good. So then you have to really start refining and nitpicking things and really seeing who's the best fit, who's gonna help lead us. So the baseline is so great that you really get into minor things when you're picking candidates apart.
Two more questions.
Josh, with the success that the football program has had, how do you believe other programs can use that momentum to build their own success and momentum?
Yeah, so I've seen that firsthand, actually this fall. I meet with a lot of other sport recruits on Friday. It's usually a lot of other sports schedule official visits on home game weekends for football. So I spend a lot of time meeting with them on Fridays, and usually we'll make a lap around the field pregame because they've got some time to be down the field pregame. And when you see the look in those young men and women's eyes after seeing campus, now seeing the passion of our student body and our fans, it resonates, and they see what can be with their sport, or they just see that, you know, this is a pretty great place to be. So that football success bleeds over and everything. And I can tell you, with a lot of the first-hand experiences I have with recruits, that was sometimes it sealed the deal with kids in other sports committing. So football can be a big ignition for a bunch of other sports.
Well, you know, the one thing I would add to that point is each and every person we talk to, the one consistent thing that was said is the brand of Georgia is so strong nationally now that it drives everything. And I think our brand is at the very top.
You kind of answered that. I was gonna ask you about how important is the university president, I see here, games a lot, you have outings and stuff over here with the board and other groups. How important is it that basketball be better than it's been since you've been here?
I think we want to be successful in everything we do. And we want to be the best in everything that we do. And that's what our athletic director is striving to do, and we're making great progress across the board.
Josh, following up on Kirby's success here, I think Kirby coming back as a former player helped to fuel the thoughts by many, or some at least, that maybe it was time for Georgia basketball to bring back one of its own. And you may be aware, I'm sure you were, that there were some Letterman former players, former assistants here that were supporting that thought. Did you, with recruiting being such a key, did you think along those lines at all, that you consider that in your deliberations?
I weigh everything into the equation. You weigh every factor into every decision. There's no factor I didn't take into account when doing this. But at the end of the day, my ultimate responsibility as athletic director is to hire the best coach for our program, the one that I think that's going to give us the best chance to be successful and do it the right way. And ultimately, that's where we went.
Thank you, guys.